Washington County voters had to consider those two county-wide levies. Ultimately, voters approved one and rejected the other. Our Chase Campbell joins us live in the studio with those details. Chase?
Thank you, Phyllis. Today, voters rejected a half-mil levy to support the Washington County Public Library. When we spoke with Library Director Justin Mayo before the election, he said the levy would have helped the library maintain its existing locations and services, including circulating books and electronic resources and running programs for children and adults. Mayo said they were requesting the levy because the amount of money the library gets from the state has decreased. When asked what would happen if the levy failed, Mayo said it would mean tough decisions about maintaining its existing facilities. The library previously had a levy on the ballot in November. That levy got enough votes to pass, but due to a technical issue with the ballot language, it was voided by the state. Voters approved a .95 mil levy to support the Washington County Board of Developmental Disabilities. That levy will cost property owners about $33 for each $100,000 of assessed property value. According to Developmental Disabilities Board Superintendent Tiffany Neal, the board has not seen an increase in tax revenue since 2003, while costs have increased substantially. With the levy passed, Neal says she's grateful the board will be able to continue offering essential services to children and adults with developmental disabilities.
The funding will help us sustain essential supports for early intervention services for those from birth up to the age of 3, and it will also help us meet our Medicaid waiver match, which is our obligation for those from 3 through essentially death.
Voters rejected another developmental disabilities levy last year, which forced the board to reduce its services for school-aged children at the Ewing School. Neal says she believes the levy passing will come as a relief to the people who depend on the services of the board to support their children or family members with developmental disabilities. That's all for now. Thank you, Phyllis. Back to you.